All right, time is 6:05. We'll call to order the September 2nd meeting of the South Kingstown Conservation Commission. We'll start with roll call. Mary Talbot Rabuano.
Here.
Carol Craig. Here. Kate Shorrock.
Here.
And I'm Matt Bradywood, and I'm here. We have but one piece of business tonight, and that is sort of a complicated undertaking. We have found the Conservation Commission missing several members. We have just enough tonight to have a quorum to be able to meet at all as 4 members. And so I just want to bring all of you up to speed. There was a conversation that was had in between our last meeting and this meeting, and it resulted in me attending the Sustainability Committee meeting in August on the 18th. And this idea gained some traction, and I took it to the Sustainability Committee. And that idea is the possibility of merging the Conservation Commission and the Sustainability Committee, and what that might look like, and whether it's in the best interests of that commission and committee, and the people that serve on both of them. So why would we do this? My 2 thoughts are, one, I think both boards, if I can just refer to them that way broadly, both boards have struggled with getting members in the entirety of my time on the Conservation Commission. We've had 1 or 2 open seats. I think briefly we had 7, but it's always a challenge, and we've always just sort of operated with less than a full board. The Sustainability Committee has also had regular membership rotation for a long time. I think this year they had a seat open. They just filled that one, so they're actually at 7. The Conservation Commission was formed in 1960, the state of Rhode Island passed legislation that said that every town didn't have to have, but could have a Conservation Commission. That was passed in 1960, and in 1961, South Kingstown implemented their Conservation Commission. I think they're one of the, if not the earliest, one of the earliest towns to adopt that.
You said that was 1960 and 61.
Yeah, on the state, the legislation passed in 60, and I think just months later in 61, SK formed their Conservation Commission. The Sustainability Committee came about 5 or 6 years ago.
No.
More?
I started in 2018, and they were already established for at least 2 years, about 2 years, probably.
Okay.
So 2016, maybe.
Okay. Within the decade. So it's a much newer body in the town, and the town has lots of boards and committees that do various things. And to be honest, I've struggled since being chair. There's been months where I'm trying to have something for us to discuss, because I think that it's worthy to have a Conservation Commission meeting, and I think there's worthy topics to be discussed. But we haven't always, it's a volunteer committee, and we don't always, I feel like we don't always have meaningful outcomes coming from our meetings. So we've had some very good discussions. We've had good guests. We've had good ideas come to the surface, but we haven't always been able to implement them. I think that's just a challenge that any volunteer group faces. But it ties into this idea that I think there's good people on both of these committees, and because the charge for both of them is in many ways similar, the charters are written differently, but I think we tend to discuss similar topics as the Sustainability Committee. I've attended several of their meetings this year. We collaborated with them last October on a forum that was put on within the town, and that just kind of further illustrated that we have similar goals, and we have similar discussions. So if we have two committees that are both facing membership challenges, we frequently discuss the same things, maybe we should combine them. Especially now, given that the Concom has faced, well, I announced that at our last meeting that I was planning to step down from serving on this commission, and since then, two of our members have also stepped down. So this is the entire. Correct, yeah. So Carol missed our last meeting, so yeah. Yeah. So surprise, this is the entire Conservation Commission currently. Yeah.
Matt, how many members active members do they have on SESCOM at the moment?
They just filled their 7th
7.
seat. Yeah, I think it was vacant for some time, but they just filled it. So they have 7 members right now. I don't think that everyone, so there's bridges that we would have to cross if we decided this was a good idea to merge the two.
Hey, I have a question about the last meeting I was at was in June, okay?
Yes.
All right, now,
And we didn't meet in July, so you only missed
I
one.
knew that, I
Yep.
knew that. I planned myself accordingly, I can miss that, I'm still okay. All right, what I saw at that June meeting, when we had,
Light on.
I have my button pushed.
Is it lighting up red?
Yeah.
There it is.
Okay. I thought there was a concern at the table. I'm a very energy level person, and when we were sitting there and we had our DEM guests, and then there was a huge conversation about how we around our table were gonna go out and measure all the board foot at the DBH, and I was looking at all of us, and I think I am the 4th from the oldest, and I'm born in 1960. And I thought, yeah, like all of us are gonna go out and measure the trees in 76 square miles, like 76, I was like, I didn't see how that was gonna happen, and I thought that might scare a few people away from our board. Because like, we can't go out and do all the measurements, and I'm a working person.
Yeah.
Like, I was thinking to myself, no, I can come to meetings once a month on Tuesday night for 3 hours or 2 hours, but I'm not going out on I didn't even know when that was gonna happen. I didn't raise my hand and ask.
Right.
Because I knew I wasn't doing it. But I felt like maybe that might have been a little concerning.
Well, yeah, I think that's a challenge of any board that has good, big ideas. If it's a volunteer, if we're all here in a volunteer capacity, then it's tough to get people to, or people just might not have that time to do things outside of these meetings, or do a lot outside of these meetings. So yeah, that's a part of the reasoning here, as I think that there are conservation and environment and sustainability-minded people in the town, and if those people are being spread more thinly across 2 committees that really could be one, then I think they both suffer. So that's part of this. So what would be the challenges, or what would be the reasons to or not to do something like this, or what would it look like if we tried to combine these two? So I've tried to imagine some of those scenarios. One of them would be the name and the mission. So because the Conservation Commission has a lot more history in this town, because there are some powers that a Conservation Commission is granted through the state legislature, or through that, I don't know if I'm referencing it properly, but legislation, the bill, the law that outlines Conservation Commissions on a state level, grants certain powers. So within SK, the Concom, as we know, is an advisory body to the planning board. That actually has some oomph that just a citizen writing a letter doesn't have. So the way the Sustainability Committee operates is they're more like a citizen group. They don't have a direct channel to the planning board, so to speak, as we do. You know, what does that really mean? I'm not sure, but we have had the ability to, like, for example, at some of our previous meetings where we were changing the tree ordinances, we have more of an ability to make those changes and sort of shuttle them, and I don't think they're scrutinized or challenged by the planning board as long as they seem to make sense. We also are one of the only committees in the town that has a budget. And I think there's some legitimacy with the name Conservation Commission because so many towns have them. I forget what the exact count was, but it's something like 85% of the towns in the state have a Conservation Commission. So one thought would be, do we absorb the members of the Sustainability Committee? Yes, I would say so. Do we take elements of their charter? I think that's also an appealing thing to do. So the Conservation Commission's charter was written in 1960, and as far as I know, hasn't been updated. So there are environmental challenges that the world faces now that people were not considering in 1960. And I think that even if this merger wasn't taking place, it might be a good time to sort of reevaluate what the mission of the Conservation Commission is. And if we're merging, we could take language that we like from the sustainability committees. We could take language that we like, or we could keep language that we like from the current Conservation Commission charter and add things in as we see fit and make it the way we want to make it. We could also combine the title itself, so it could perhaps this new entity could be the Conservation and Sustainability Commission or something like that. I don't know if adding that language changes how that state law affects us. I don't know if we have to have just simply the name Conservation Commission in order for those.
No, I think as long as the town recognizes that the Conservation and Sustainability Committee is the Conservation Committee for the town in accordance with state law.
Okay.
And downstairs, there's a box that says the agenda for the tree board, so that we are also known as the tree board.
Right,
And
right.
there's
Yeah. Oh, actually, thank you for bringing that up. That's another element to this is we have certain powers as the acting tree board for the town, so that I wouldn't want to see that go away. We also hold a seat on the technical review committee, so there's more to the Conservation Commission that I think is worth keeping intact. I wouldn't want to see those powers necessarily leave if we merged in this way. One last thing. When I joined the Conservation Commission, one of our core responsibilities was to be evaluating OWTS systems, on-site wastewater treatment systems. And with a state law change, I think in 2021 or 2022, it wasn't
You're right.
that long
Yeah,
ago.
it was 2020, 2021.
Yeah, a few years ago, a state law change took all those responsibilities off of our table. So that felt like when I first, just as a person owning property in the town, I came before the Conservation Commission, and because of an OWTS situation, and that's kind of what initially got me into it, and that's what felt like the bread and butter of the Conservation Commission was for a while. For the first couple years when I was on it, I'm sure Mary remembers going through these. Right, and I can remember, we would have plans. People would be coming before us to get our approval on OWTS installations on a residential property. I occasionally would go out to those properties before a meeting and be looking at them and evaluating it. It felt like we were weighing in on something important. And so since that has been stripped from the commission, I think that added to some of the maybe aimlessness is too strong a word, but it's some of just trying to find our place and find projects that were worth undertaking for the Concom. So again, yet another reason maybe to.
When you saw them on the 18th, did you mention this idea to them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
So
that was the
they're-
whole purpose. I was able to get in touch with, and unfortunately this idea didn't coalesce until after our last meeting.
That's okay.
So, this sort of happened in between meetings, but I was able to catch the the ear of the chair of the Sustainability Committee before they published their agenda. So I actually got on it and was able to just go and discuss this exactly how I'm discussing it with all of you today, so.
How'd they receive it?
I'm sorry?
How did they receive it? What was were they thinking it's a good idea or whatever?
I think it was well received, yeah. I think some of the legitimacy that comes with the Concom was appealing. I don't think if it were like happening the other way around, I mean, I think I don't think it came off like we were just trying to snuff out the Sustainability Committee, and I definitely don't want it to be that way. Everyone had good questions, and it felt like all those members, including the newest member who was attending his first meeting, thought that there was merit in it. So it would be more complicated if we both had full memberships currently, because even as it stands now, we would have to we'd have to deal with the idea of they are both described as having a 7-person membership. So I think this would require going in front of the town council to create a new committee or commission. We might be able to, at that time, describe how many members would be a part of that new committee. Something that was discussed at the Sustainability Committee meeting was whether that membership could have a sliding scale. Could it be 7 to 11, and that would accommodate all of the people that are currently on those two boards. It wouldn't be asking anyone to step down. I had said that I would be stepping down, but I want to sort of get the Conservation Commission or whatever comes from this on its feet. So I'm happy to stay on through the end of the year, or whatever it takes to do that. And I'm also happy to step down if the membership is too large for what this new committee can accommodate.
So Matt, I can share a little experience, having been a liaison to an 11-member board previously. Extremely difficult, almost ineffective. However, I think a consideration you could make, or the two committees could make, is that when you propose the merger and you agree to the language and the mission and the charge and all that goes with it, that you basically merge the two boards as they exist today with 11 members, and then say the board shall be 7. There shall be no replacements. They shall stay on until their term expires and they no longer want to.
Right. So as people step down,
Attrition.
until it gets below 7, we don't replace it.
Right. And I think it's kind of an odd approach, but I think that, number one, that respects the interest of the volunteers that are part of these boards and commissions that want to serve.
Right.
And over time, as the board comes together and understands what exactly they're going to do and how they're going to do it, it gives people an understanding that, okay, maybe that's not what I want to be involved in, and they can go on their own terms, with the ultimate goal of it getting back to a 7-member board.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I can't imagine that the town council would have a strong opinion about any of this.
I don't think anybody wants to kick somebody off wants to kick out a volunteer.
Right, yeah.
That
So-
said, I like the idea of the chair or chairs, depending on how that works, checking in with each member on this proposal and just reconfirming that this is what they want to be doing with their time. I think that would be helpful.
And yeah, just the idea, going off what you just said, chair or chairs, I'm not in any way trying to vie for the chairmanship of this new thing. So I think Joanne, who is the chair of the Sustainability Committee, I think she does an incredible job. And if she's interested in staying on as a chair, I think she would be a great person to represent this new idea. But it remains to be seen whether all members of the current Sustainability Committee would want to transition to this other board.
Was there any discussion about the mission, about the charge, about what that might look like?
Not specifically, no, but just, as it's written, the Conservation Commission mission is, more land-oriented, and, I think there's good reason to include some of the language that's in the sustainability.
I don't disagree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So,
don't
like,
disagree.
Just renewable stuff, like, it wouldn't be wild for us. I mean, I think we have in fact discussed composting in Concom meetings. That's
Yeah.
the thing that the SUSCOM has been
But
heavily involved with.
Going back to what you said, though, when the commission was created in 1961, I don't think they were worried about spelling out the details of composting and whatnot in a mission.
Yeah, I mean,
It was-
composting existed, but was it being talked about in the way that it's talked about today? Maybe not. Was
Right.
climate change being talked about in the way that it's talked about today? Definitely not.
Right.
Was like renewable resources and energy-related things being
And it-
talked about?
And it also goes to something that I've preached to other boards, and I've preached to this board also about the mission and charge. And what do you want that to be? You guys might have great ideas and it might not align just right. Well, this is your opportunity to say, you know what, this is 2025, not 1961.
Yeah.
There's some other things, and you frame it in the way that the residents feel that there's a body to address a concern in the community.
Yeah.
What those might be. And I think it's a good opportunity to kind of be more reflective and appropriate for what you want to do.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, both of these, I think for as long as both of these boards have existed, they've just been sort of environmental topic boards, and haven't necessarily stayed on the strictly renewable resources or renewable energy and strictly land use that their missions would lead you to believe they discuss.
I'm making the assumption, but I want to test it. There are no other commissions or boards that are environmentally focused besides these two?
I believe that's the case.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's some that, like the bike committee or something might,
Yeah.
there's things that, like outdoor-related things that might overlap slightly, but this is really the two.
Okay.
Yeah. So, how do the people in this room feel about that idea? Especially Mary. I mean, you've served on the Conservation Commission for longer than I have. I'm curious to hear
The
your
commission
thoughts.
has always had a problem with getting people to be members.
Yeah,
It's not a new thing.
yeah,
I would have no objection to combining the commissions and the board and see what comes out of it.
yeah.
I'm not really all that familiar with what they do, but I'm vaguely familiar with what they do.
Yeah, I mean, the meetings that I've attended this year, they were discussing townwide composting initiatives. They actually had the woman who, I didn't even know this was a role in the town, but a woman who handles do you know what her title is? The composting?
Recycling coordinator?
Yeah,
or
recycling.
composting coordinator?
So this is a woman I think she plays that role in both South Kingstown and Narragansett. But she came and sort of had a Q&A with the SUSCOM and had good things to say. They were discussing a few months ago when we looked at those 3 different options for affordable housing. They also looked at those same projects, the Wakefield School, South Road, Oliver Watson House.
Charlotte. Her name, Charlotte,
Sounds right, yeah.
it's like recycling coordinator.
She was excellent and well-informed. So yeah, they had that similar discussion about those 3 potential affordable housing build-outs and concerns that, environmental concerns, impervious coverage, stuff like that we also discussed. They were weighing in on the new high school being built and what sustainable building practices might be able to be incorporated in that. So it always, whenever I was tuned in to what their discussions were, or whenever I attended their meetings, or like going back to the forum that we had in October that touched on water quality and things like that, there's just a lot of overlap. Yeah. Well, I'm just curious,
Yeah,
like,
I
you're a
like the
member of
idea.
this.
I feel like they are very similar. I think that we could merge nicely. I loved it when you mentioned about the overlap, and then we could trim back down to 7 as people retire, leave, move, decide it's too much, I don't want to volunteer anymore. Are they under the same constraint as we are, where they sign on for 3 years?
I don't think they have official, this came up at the meeting, because I was saying that my 3-year term was ending in September. And they all sort of like, I don't think any of us have signed on for any
Yeah, ours is
set
probably a
amount of time.
little more specific with the charter and all that. It sounds like to
Right.
me, it's more established. Just like going through the bylaws. They've been in place for a long time. I spent some time on it yesterday because, like I like to show up prepared with my homework, right? And I realize now that that would be a waste of our time because now they may not even be, I get it. And we also went through something like a charter. We had spent a lot of time on the wording of a paragraph in something that I thought was our charter that Melissa worked on, and we were going to get it approved at the town hall. And
think-
so we have looked at that as a group before, I feel.
I'm not sure, was that tree
I
board?
thought that was the tree board.
Was it the
Language.
tree board stuff? Okay,
Yeah,
I stand
so-
corrected on that.
On the town's website, each board or committee or
Yeah.
commission has a web page, the one that hasn't been updated
That's
for
okay.
us, with our membership, with the correct member names. But below that, there's the mission of the Conservation
Yeah,
Commission.
and
So
we
that's-
should have
that's
an
the one I
official
was
chair,
referencing.
vice chair, and secretary according to this, and we meet at 7 instead of 6, which I liked that we meet at 6, because I get up at 5, so it's better for me.
All things that we could consider with this new.
But now we can change everything,
Yeah.
but we shouldn't do this until we see about the merger, because we need all of them in on it, and as Jay mentioned, having 11 people's opinions also makes it a lot harder to make amendment changes, so.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just something going into it. I mean, everybody's in the right place. Everybody's heart is in the right spot. It's going into it that the board members understand that it gets a little unruly. And the chair and everyone really needs to kind of stay to the topic and orderly discussion and try to be brief and things like that, because it really does reduce your ability of getting things done, unless you want to have 4-hour meetings.
That's part of the bylaws. There's a limit. It says, I laughed when I was reading it because I think it was supposed to start at 7, but we can, if we ever go over 10:30, I was like, what? And then, and then I was thinking for us, 6 to 9:30. I don't think we've ever been in a meeting past about 8:15. And that was on our wordiest night.
yeah, I
Like,
know
we're
that
usually out by 7:30.
Mark de Morinville was the chair of the SUSCOM prior to the current chair. And I think he liked to keep them to an hour. So the meetings that the meetings that I attended, I know he was starting to look at his clock. I mean, maybe an hour and a half, but.
I'm also super supportive for all the reasons that you laid out. I think it makes a ton of sense. So I am curious, like, if we're all on board, what does that look like? What are the next steps?
Yeah. So at the SUSCOM meeting, they asked, obviously, what the Concom had thought about it. And I said, we haven't really discussed this yet. So I'm planning to attend the SUSCOM's September meeting.
Tell us who it is so we can all come.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Just let me know so I can post an agenda, because if you guys show up in a quorum, I've got to post a
I
meeting.
don't come to just sit in the audience just to watch and have a meeting. I don't need to be part of their.
But
But if all
the
four of
correct
us lined
answer
up
from
in a
this
room-
side of the bench is, if there's any inclination that a quorum of this body is going to show up in any location, that we post a meeting for that. If we know about it and it's part of official business. I mean, if you all end up at Belmont on Sunday morning, no, I don't need to, I don't need your grocery shopping schedule. True. But that's a little headache that we have to deal with when we have joint workshops with the council and the planning board, and every time you have a quorum, you've technically got to post the agenda and saying, you know, the body is going to meet and this is what they're going to discuss.
So, but that can be done. So if we all wanted to attend, and you don't have to decide that this minute, but the SUSCOM meets, is it the third Monday?
Something like that, yeah.
It's a Monday. I have to double, well, I guess the answer is whatever the 18th of August was. Second or third Monday. Third Monday.
May I make a suggestion? And this might slow things down a little, potentially. But I was thinking that if the two chairs got together, or two people from each body got together to work on the mission and the charge, or the two bodies work on it separately and come together with what they, you come together with a hybrid approach in a joint session or something along those lines. What I think is, while the topic is hot and while there's movement and discussion, everybody thinks it's good, roll. The longer you wait, the more it's gonna get kicked down the road. So when you go to have that discussion, you can at least say, hey, we came together and thought we could, here are some line items, or but yeah, certainly sooner than later, so that it doesn't take months.
Yeah. So let's say Joanne and I and anyone else interested got together and tried to write that new mission and combine things from both. Let's say that happens. What do you think would be, how does it become a legitimate thing? So then, do we then approach the town council and get on their agenda?
Yep. So I would, like I said, I would flesh it out with both boards, get both committees in sync with what is happening, including the mission in charge, and then request to go before the council. I would suggest both chairs explain exactly how this came about, and at that point, you're not kind of floating in the wind. You said, hey, here's something to consider. And you give them the mission in charge, and you outline it all and look for ways that collectively the bodies can provide value to the town services that aren't being provided now. Always try to look for the positive, not, in many people's eyes, it's a positive that it's going to be one less board.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of boards and commissions.
Yeah.
But the same token, I sit in these meetings with you guys, and I spend as much time here, I'm not really volunteering, but I've always wanted the boards to be effective, like take on something and run with it and go with it, and it's really hard. Maybe this will kind of bring some energy to the table. And
Yeah. I think a possibility is that the SUSCOM has struggled with membership, but maybe not as much as the CONCOM has. And I've wondered if people who are interested in the environment and interested in conservation or sustainability have gravitated towards the SUSCOM because it feels a little newer and more cutting edge. And if there's no reason that those discussions need to be separate, it's possible that this hybrid board would function better going forward as far as attracting people in the town that want to be on such a thing. Or at the very least, it wouldn't present them with two options and result in one of the other losing out on that person's passion or expertise. But yeah, so as it stands now, I was planning to attend the September SUSCOM meeting and just sort of report on how all of us felt about that.
at the same time, it might be good for you alone, because you're championing this idea pretty much, right?
Yeah.
It might be good for you to give them examples of what the blended mission charge, where the overlaps are, and
Yeah.
what that potential language might sound like, because then you pique people's interest and get them thinking along that line. And
Yep.
again, as, you know, as much momentum you can get behind it, the better. You get people
Yeah.
thinking and moving, and it doesn't sit stagnant.
Right. And yeah, the challenge is that it's like hopscotching between these two meetings as like the months are going by.
Matt, I'd be happy to help. I have some time in the next week. If someone, I mean, just throw something together for you to react to if you want to bring something to that meeting. I can't attend that meeting, but I'd be happy to.
Yeah, and I don't know, just as I'm thinking about it now, I don't know what value, I don't know that we all would need to attend their next meeting. I think it's going to be, they have already heard the spiel that I've given, you now have. I think it would just be more of that. So maybe the best course of action is to have that new charter, have a name in mind for the committee, for that new commission, and be able to have something concrete being discussed at their meeting, and then sort of get the sense of how the members feel about that.
Yeah.
And then we can have something to bring back to our meeting. And then hopefully that would be the last back and forth necessary. And maybe we could be poised to go in front of the town council after that.
I would recommend that right before you go to the council, you have maybe a joint meeting of the two. You come
Yeah.
together officially and support the effort together.
Yep. So-
Vet it together, and that way it's a strong presence when you go before the council that all the work's been done.
Right.
And you've anticipated the questions, we have the answers.
Yeah. So today's the 2nd. The SUSCOM's next meeting, it looks like it would be September 15th, a Monday. That's the 3rd. Well, because, yeah, September 1st was a Monday. So 9:15 would be their meeting. Our next meeting would be October 7th. And then maybe, the town council meets twice a month, is that right? On what, on Mondays as well? So we could, what is it, the 1st and 3rd? So it's possible that we could have a joint meeting between October 7th and the 2nd October meeting of the town council. How much lead time do we need to get on their agenda?
That's a tough one. You might be delayed a
Yeah.
little bit just getting on a council agenda.
Okay. I mean,
It might behoove you to put the request in and work on it simultaneously.
okay.
But again,
I'm not aware that their docket has lightened up,
Yeah.
and there really isn't a whole lot of room.
So I can look into that ASAP, and move forward, assuming that this is going to play out on the timeline that we expect it to. So maybe either get on the town council's agenda for the end of October or beginning of November, if possible. And, yeah, go from there. So I guess I would, I'm happy to send out an email as well and just sort of keep you all abreast of things so it doesn't have to be a brand-new briefing of these ideas each time we meet in person. As it stands, I'll plan to attend the SUSCOM's meeting in 2 weeks. And with some outlined ideas that maybe Kate can help me with, and maybe Joanne from the SUSCOM can help with, so that we're actually at their meeting discussing concrete ideas for what the mission would be and what the name of the new committee would be. And the membership ideas of, do we have that sliding scale that can go to 11 initially and then slide back down to 7 over time. Yeah. I think that's all I've got to say Right.
Quite honestly, if the 11-member committee doesn't work out, isn't working, there very well may be board members that are not going to want to stay on and be like,
Yeah.
Jay, do you have a copy of the Sustainability Committee Charter that you can send us? Or is it online, or?
yeah, it's online, but
Oh, it is? Okay.
I can send it to you. I'm pretty sure it's copied on the Conservation Commission webpage, but I'll
Okay.
send it out to everybody right now.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, just for the fun of it, let's see if I can call up Suscom South Kingstown. Yeah, their mission leans more towards renewable energy. I think there's some language. Renewable resources, something like that. Okay, the Sustainability Committee, they meet the third Monday of each month. It's, the heading for that section on their page is, it just says purpose. The 7-member Sustainability Committee is an ad hoc or special purpose body of the town whose mission is to promote the incorporation of green technologies and behaviors across the community, including both but not limited to the proper use of renewable energy resources through research, education, and outreach efforts involving town officials, residents, and commercial entities. The committee evaluates and makes recommendations to the town council regarding general sustainability initiatives, including energy conservation, energy efficiency, conversion to greener energy resources, use of technologies, and green infrastructure. In comparison, the Concom charter. They meet at 6 on the third Monday of each month. The Conservation Commission, there's 2 headings under the Concom. The first is purpose, that it says the General Assembly enacted legislation in 1960 authorizing Rhode Island cities and towns to establish conservation commissions. The Town Council first established the SK Conservation Commission on March 4th, 1961. The South Kingstown Conservation Commission also serves as the town tree board as well as the on-site wastewater treatment system commission, which that second part is no longer in effect. And then there's another heading that says advisory functions. The Conservation Commission promotes and develops natural resources to protect watershed resources and to preserve natural aesthetic areas, among other functions. The advisory duties of the Conservation Commission pursuant to 1960 Public Law, Chapter 203, are as follows. To promote and develop natural resources to protect watershed, that's a redundancy of what I just read. To conduct research into local land areas and to coordinate the activities of unofficial bodies organized for similar purposes, like Friends of the Saugatucket, and to advertise, prepare, print, and distribute books, maps, charts, plans, and pamphlets which in its judgment are deemed necessary for its work. To recommend, this is the third heading, to recommend to the town council and to other municipal boards and agencies a program for the better promotion, development, utilization, or preservation of open areas, streams, shores, wooded areas, yada, yada. To work with organizations such as, but not limited to, SK Land Trust towards the goals of natural resource protection and open space designation. Decisions and recommendations by the Conservation Commission should be made within the discipline of good conservation practice, unfettered by concerns for legal or other considerations. So we have definitely strayed from strictly land conservation type agenda items. I don't think that's a problem in any way. And likewise, the Sustainability Committee definitely discusses things that aren't tied strictly to green infrastructure. So, right, yeah. And I think some of the things that are outlined in the current Conservation Commission purpose or advisory function, some of those goals are being pretty well attended to by entities like the South Kingstown Land Trust. I've also, I've had the opportunity to speak with members of other towns' conservation commissions, and and they're all doing sort of wildly different things. You know, there are towns that have, whose Concoms are operating sort of like land trusts. They're doing trail maintenance and things like that, stuff that we are not involved with at all. So, yeah, like maintaining public areas, or at least like being aware of what maintenance is happening on town-owned hiking trails or things like that. So,
Matt, is there a town conservation commission that you feel like is a good model for us?
I don't know enough about
Okay.
them to weigh in on that. Yeah, it's just, I've just crossed paths. Like, I was speaking with someone, I want to say it was either, it was a town that started with a B. I was speaking with someone on a Concom at the Land and Water Conservation Summit at URI, and I've spoken with someone on the Narragansett Concom before. But no, I mean, we haven't had a whole lot of interaction. That's something that maybe could change going forward. I think there's obviously like, the towns in Rhode Island are different sizes and have different amounts of public space and budgets, and so it might not always make sense to be following the model of another town, but yeah.
We have a
maybe-
lot of environmental organizations that do a lot of what you were just mentioning, like Nature Conservancy. They take care of like really intense projects that they do. Audubon Society, they bring out, lots of corporations have a day once a year where their people get together and they come out and they build a whole walkway through a boggy trail. I've been a member of so many of these things. This is why I know that, like the Salt Pond Coalition, it was so lovely to see Dennis's interaction with that. Like, they do so much stuff, and it's almost like there's so many. I'm a member of the school systems here. We have 39 districts in this state. I mean, it is insane. We are so fragmented on this level, and this is one of the areas of environmentalism. The good news about all of that, it's getting done, and it's getting done by different pieces and groups. And it's like, we don't do it here on the Conservation Commission physically.
Right, but that's a good example, because
Yeah.
I think there's been times, like for discussing water quality, for instance, where I've felt like we were having a good conversation here that probably was simultaneously being had with Salt Pond Coalition or Friends of the Saugatucket or Watershed Watch. Yeah. Yeah, Bill McCusker, yeah. Right. Yeah, so there's all these well-meaning groups, and the more they can, well, in the past, we've pushed collaboration, but maybe absorption, or actually like merging into a fewer number of groups in this case could be beneficial.
And you know, there's nothing to say that, let's say that both boards come up with like 3 separate projects, distinctly different, right? You could break them out into subcommittees and say, these sustainability people are working on composting if the Concom members aren't. I mean, if it gets there, but
Yeah,
I don't see that it would. But
Yeah.
I mean, you could always, you know, if there are passionate people that attend that have a sort of a side project and they might have interest by others, you could always do that.
Right.
And Jay, that can help with the size of the board. The Nature Conservancy has like 20 to 30 person boards, but they have committees that meet more frequently, and then the chairs of those committees come together. So that's a great idea. If we stay at the 11 level, it's a better way to manage that size.
It's also a better way of getting contributions in a usable manner, right?
All right, so I already outlined what's going to happen between now and our next meeting, but look for an email after the 15th, or maybe even before that, if something, if a good example of a new charter comes together, I'll email that out. So that might
Did
actually
you not
happen
want us to
before.
attend that meeting? I wrote it into my calendar, but you don't want me to go.
You are more than welcome to
Okay.
attend. I don't think I think the discussions that we had tonight and that I already had which was similar to what I discussed with them at their August meeting. I don't think much more is going to happen at their next meeting.
Yeah, I just felt like I wanted to observe, see who the people are, see how they work together, like just have like almost an observant type of thing, not be part of their meeting, not have a role of speaking, not,
I mean,
Yeah.
all of these meetings are open to the public, and you can attend either as a representative of the Concom
and
or
do they
just
meet
as
right
a-
here? Is this where they have their meetings or what?
They meet in the Building and Zoning Department.
Which is,
So on the first floor, if you come in the double doors and take a left.
Go down the hallway
Walk down
to-
the hallway, you'll see them on the right.
Okay.
So they just meet at a table that's right in the middle of the Building and Zoning Department. They'll be the only people in the building at that time.
I just kind of like to see our new team, like what they look like and who are they, you know?
Yeah,
and-
but by all means, September 15th.
Now, and one other question. We had been talking a lot about the Tree City USA. Shall we just hold off on that right now?
I think that this feels like it takes precedent over things
Yeah,
we were
because it's
discussing
not
as
really a
Concom.
Conservation Commission thing, it's sort of a town application. We've
Right.
already gotten, Rich Burbo said that we were making a certain amount of money, which was one of the 3 requirements of population, but I don't have a problem I don't want to spend time where, you know, it's like another, like, stupid waste of my time.
Yeah, I think.
I don't think it will take long to put it together after what I've read about it.
No, I think we are on the right page for
Yeah.
going forward with that, and.
Like, if I got
there's
the
still
application
time.
in for us by December, we still have time to do that one piece that has to, like, plan for the April Arbor Day thing.
Yeah, I
That's
think-
really the only criteria that we were like a little shaky on.
I think it turned out that all we really needed was a proclamation to be made, which didn't,
And we were
doesn't
gonna
have to
borrow
have
the
a
one that
a
we
big
read,
celebration.
and we could
Yeah.
just use it. It's a good proclamation. We don't have to reinvent the wheel.
I think
Yeah,
it wouldn't
like, I
take
could
much,
take care of
once we
that.
wanted to initiate that application, I think it would be.
So I could get everything ready except for the piece where they're asking for the specifics of the actual, we had to do a gathering thing, like something. And there were so many choices, we decided we didn't want to decide.
Yeah, I think it turned out that although they want that to be the case, it doesn't, for that initial application or for getting accepted initially, you don't have to have had a big
So are we
party
okay
that's-
with it
that's
if I
been
go
the-
ahead and fill in what we had and then like,
I would say just hold off until
Okay.
until this situation resolves. And
I kind of,
once-
I had it down to do all summer and like I had so much time, I got nothing done. You know how that goes? Like when you have so much free time that you actually are almost like completely worthless. I'll take that. I did nothing this summer. I'm so proud. Anyway, but that was on my list and I kept tabling it. So thanks.
Fair enough.
All right,
I would
good.
say that that could maybe be one of the very first things that, if this hybridization takes
All right.
place, that could be like one of the first
Okay,
agenda
I'll keep
items for
that paperwork right there.
Okay.
Thank you.
And in the meantime, we do need to still attend the TRC meeting for September. Is there a September TRC meeting?
What's the time? I know it's in the morning, so that's something that I gotta look at on my.
It's generally 9
I
o'clock.
can do that one.
Okay,
You wanna do September?
Yeah, I'll do September.
awesome.
Now, last year, what I loved that Melissa did was she came in with a suggested assigned date, like I had December, June. those
Yeah, that was good.
days.
Yeah,
I liked that.
yeah.
It would be lovely if somebody feels like being like bossy and looking at our list as it is right now, or do we even dare do that?
I don't know if we dare do that.
I think we'll just muddle along for a little while.
I think, so I'm going to take this moment just to thank Melissa, actually. So she emailed me between our last meeting and tonight and stepped down. But while she was on the Concom, she did a huge amount of behind-the-scenes work. And she just was, she was really thorough and was a great contact to the Southern Rhode Island Conservation District, and just combed through a lot of the minutia that took time, and that not all volunteer committee members, myself included, have time or interest in doing. So she was amazing, and I really appreciated, as chair, her coming to the meetings with all that homework that she had done behind the scenes. So, yeah, I'm actually sorry I was sorry to see her resignation letter, but, Vern was able to speak his piece at the last meeting. But Melissa stepped down between meetings, so, a thank you to her.
He was here when I got here.
Yeah, he was. He was here when I got here. So I don't know if Mary knows more about when he joined the commission.
He probably joined about 4 years after I did.
Okay.
So he's pretty long-term.
Yeah, he was longstanding. But yeah, that's the rotation of volunteer committees. So Mary will attend the next TRC meeting, which is next Wednesday, a week from today, or excuse me.
Week from Wednesday.
Yep. Yeah, we'll get a report from her at our October meeting. We don't have any other new business or old business to discuss. There wasn't a TRC meeting for August, is that right? Did Melissa attend that meeting?
I don't think I went to that meeting, so that's why I'm
Yeah.
drawing a blank.
In any case, none of the members here have a report from that technical review committee meeting.
I went to the one right before we didn't have a meeting in July. I was in.
Correct. Yeah,
That
so,
ended up being quite long, but the big thing that showed up didn't show up. So it was like the little one that was on the Jerry Brown Farm Road ended up being quite lengthy.
yeah.
It was good. It was I liked being there. I liked going to that meeting.
Yeah, those can be fun meetings. It feels like,
Things, I like looking at the blueprints. I'm all into that.
yeah,
I was in engineering still a long time, so when I go in there, I feel like I'm back into it.
yeah. Yeah, I lament that that's not a part of the Concom's regular agendas anymore, but you get a taste of it at the TRC meetings. Okay, so our next meeting is October 7th, and we'll have a bunch of updates then. Do I hear a motion to adjourn the meeting at 7:01?
A motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay.
Sorry, Mary.
Motion by Mary, seconded by Carol. Meeting adjourned at 7:02. 1 hour. Thank you, guys.